Voicemails. Send me some voicemails. I'm going to do a special voicemail edition of the show. So send your voicemails to 304-TALK-ROB. That's 304-825-5762. That's 304-825-5762. Leave a random voicemail. Promote your podcast. Promote your product of choice, your field of industry, anything. You can just talk shit. You can say I suck, whatever it is. Send a voicemail in to the show so we could do that special voicemail edition. Now, I don't have any voicemails for this show, but maybe next time if you leave a voicemail at 304-825-5762. Now, let's get on with this show.
You are now listening to Random Ramblings with Rob.
Yay!
Yay! Yeah!
Motherfuckers. What up, everybody? This is your boy B-Rob, and I'm back with another edition of the Random Ramblings with Rob podcast. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you, the listener, for coming back each and every week or however you listen to podcasts. If you're a new listener, I'd like to thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart that you took a chance to listen to my show, whether you were recommended or you just stumbled down the rabbit hole of podcast searches and you found me. Because that would truly be the definition of random, I guess. But as per usual, I have a guest with me this week or whenever you listen to this. I hate putting timestamps on shit. Like I say week or this episode, this Sunday or whatever it is, because you're not probably going to listen to the day it releases. Or I'm not even recording on a Sunday when I normally release episodes anyway. So I'm sorry. It really doesn't fucking matter. Anyway, got a guest. This has been a year or two in the making or something like that. And he's just been big leaguing me the whole time, been screening his calls and shit. He's like, oh, this Rob, I can just put this on hold. I'll call him another time. You know how that shit go when you're big and famous and shit and you're beating up bullies and being a superhero and shit. So that's how it is. But my guest this week, damn it, I did it again. My guest for this episode is one half of the dynamic duo of the Who Would Win podcast. My guest this episode is James Gavsie. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing great. Let me clarify something. I don't get starstruck by many people, right? I'm fortunate enough to live in Los Angeles. I see a lot of really cool people and celebrities and what have you. The reason I didn't get back to you is because I'm actually very starstruck and intimidated by you and your show. I just didn't know if I would ever, measure up and be good enough for your show. So I'm taking a chance and I just hope it all works out. That's the reason why it took me so long to come on.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. I mean, you already measure up because you're taller than Jay Sandlin. So,
well, who isn't?
Good question.
Who isn't? We've never, we've never met in person. Jay, the other co-host of the Who Would Win podcast, he's in Alabama. I'm in a nicer place called Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And so we've never met in person, and we are going to shortly for this event we're doing. And I don't know how I'm going to react to him.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be jarring because, you've been, touching voice to voice, over the internet for a while now. And I don't know, because all the people that I've talked to, like how I'm doing with you now, Jay, Ray and then when the Naked Porch was around, everybody that I've had any interaction with via the internet, I really don't know how the hell I would act if I was to meet any of y'all in person.
Well, it's you can have like a a phone friendship, right? Where you, for whatever reason, the magic is there when two people are over the phone. They can just talk about anything, and that's almost like it's like a long lost friend. And then you put the two of those people in the same room, and they won't say anything to each other. There's got to be that magic, right? So I don't know if it's going to be there when we have, and this is scary because we've got a live event we have to do, and it better work.
Yeah, and it's like that buffer that is between you. I mean, he's sitting in Alabama, you in Los Angeles, and everything. It's just like, usually when you talk to somebody via the internet or whatever the case may be, is that like there's some allure, there's some kind of factor of like, I really don't give a fuck that separates you two. Cause like, I can come over here, I'd be like, hey, I got my dick and balls out right now. I mean, that's not true, but I could say some fly shit like that. And if I was to meet you in person, I would never think to pull my dick and balls out or even say or even have that conversation with you.
And I appreciate that, because I'm not a big fan of when someone does that to me in person. Not that that's happened a lot. I'm just saying I'm not a fan of it. So I appreciate you saying you wouldn't do that. That's nice of you.
Yeah. So I mean, the veil that is the internet, it kind of changes people in a way, I feel. But
you're right. There's I had this talk with my son, right? And we're talking about what to say online. He likes to do a lot of gaming and everything. And I said, okay, just here's two basic rules, right? If you say something, if you talk smack about someone online, make sure you would say that exact same thing to them in person. Like, don't be what I call like internet tough.
Yeah.
Right. And then the second guideline is you'd have to, say something where grandma would be able to read it and not be offended or embarrassed. If you got those two guidelines, I think you're okay.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like that to an extent with my kids, because like I cuss like a goddamn sailor here, and I got 3 kids. I got a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, and an 8-year-old. And
oh, wow.
I cuss like it's no tomorrow. I mean, I try to censor it as much as I can with the baby, but
sure.
She already censors me. So if I let one slip, she'll be like, ooh.
Oh no, there's nothing worse, by the way, when your kids correct you.
Yes.
You're like, that's cute. You're correcting me. Hey, you know what? No electricity for you for a month. How's that? You like that correction? Yeah.
I hate it so much.
I know.
Especially like when it's one of those things like, they fucked up and you're scolding them. It's like, why? And this and that. And they're like, but dad, this and this. And you're like, but still.
Yeah, that's never happened to me ever. Especially not 3 times yesterday. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know it.
But like, you're already speaking about doing your first live event with Jay and everything like that, which is, mind blowing for me. I mean, this show to me, from being a part of it and listening to it, is like, it's made for live entertainment. To me, at least, that's how I feel about it. But before we get there,
yes,
I'm gonna tell you how I came across you. I mean, you probably already know, but I was listening to the Naked Porch podcast.
Okay.
And you were there, you were a guest. And, I was like, this guy seems pretty damn cool. And, I would like to talk to him one day. But at the time, I really didn't, I was doing other shit. I think the podcast was just kind of really picking up because it's 2 years old. I think that was maybe a year ago that you was on that show.
Okay.
And, I had it in my mind that I wanted to have you over here, based on your interview that you had over there and all the things that you were doing with anti-bullying campaigns and all kind of things like that.
Oh, very cool.
And it just kind of kept slipping my mind. And Ray kind of reminded me. He was like, hey, man, you want to have James on your show? And I was like, yeah, man, have James on the show. Yeah, I could do that. And I think I put the feel out to you. I don't even know how I went about it. I either went through Ray, or Ray reached out to you, or I reached out to you, or something like that. And I know one time it was a scheduling thing because you had shit to do. You was punching bullies in the face, holding up kids by the ankles and shaking the change out of their pockets and shit. So. Oh yeah. Well, you see my videos. Yeah, that's exactly what I do. Exactly. And, but from then, I figured, it'll happen when it happened. And then, later on, you would, team up with Jay, and you would form the, Who Would Win podcast. But, just for people who haven't heard that, conversation on the Naked Porch podcast, tell them a little bit about what you do. Well, for the anti-bullying,
let me take a step back. So I was that kid. I was like the overweight, big, kid who didn't like physical or verbal confrontation. And as a result, for a few other reasons too, I got picked on, I got beat up, the social bullying, all that kind of good stuff. And what happened was, as I got older and started playing, sports, especially football, and then got into martial arts, and I'm also a big fan of criminal psychology. And I started seeing ways to deal with bullies, but I didn't look at them. A lot of anti-bullying is very gentle. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, oh, well, and I'm not for over punishing anyone, but I'm very aggressive in my approach. And I came up with a few different, for lack of a better term, methodologies and ways to deal with the different types of bullying. And then what happened was parents started calling me and saying, hey, can you help out with our kids, or can you help me out because I'm getting bullied at work or what have you. And then I said, okay, cool. I'm just going to write a book. So I wrote The Renegade's Guide to Stopping Bullies. And I found this guy, Donald Denoyer, who is a great MMA guy, ring announcer, the whole thing, and also was with the National Guard, just a great, great human being. And he and I created this really big program called the War Guardians, oddly enough. And it's an anti-bullying program that takes place over a period of a year. It starts off with a presentation. We implemented that at a high school in Santa Maria, California, one of the biggest high schools, I think, in California. And we reduced bullying by over 80%. And in that year, and we've got the stats to prove it and the whole thing. And, what I want to do is really just kind of start spreading the word of how to deal with bullies, how to understand bullying, what it is, and actually what it is not. So we saw the programs going. Donald Noyer is kind of heading up all of that. And I'm kind of like behind the scenes with that, letting him be the face of the anti-bullying movement. So that's where we're at with it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And that's very, very awesome. Yeah, I mean,
well, thank you.
Because, to some extent, I feel like every kid has been bullied in school at some point, some form, some fashion and everything. And, then I think it was more of a cultural norm. It was just like, oh man, it's a part of being, a kid, you got to get bullied, and, it makes you tough and so on and so forth. But like nowadays, and, the climate that we live in, bullying is a whole different thing than what it used to be,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Here's what I discovered, because I really went into the stats and, and how people are saying they're being bullied and et cetera. So let me ask you a question. This is something I talk with I hate to put anyone down, but there's a lot of self-appointed bullying experts out there.
Yeah.
And there's some people who are amazing at this, and some that are like, they're jumping on the bandwagon to try to get some attention for themselves. So they picked anti-bullying as their topic of the week. So let me ask you a skill testing question. What is the most common form of bullying?
Verbal. Maybe.
Close. No, that's good. That's close. So it's a trick question. I came up with a new term, a new type of bullying called unintentional bullying. And when I ask people that question, by the way, what's the most common form of bullying? Most people say cyberbullying, which is unfortunately growing, daily. Mm-hmm. But it's unintentional bullying. And what I mean by that is someone can say or do something, and they know they're bullying someone or being inappropriate, but to them, they're doing emotional damage on a scale of 1 to 10. They think they're doing a 2. Mm-hmm. But the recipient feels like, okay, this is like an 8.
Yeah.
And it's a 2-part problem. Number one, the person should be aware of what they're doing and that this could be causing a lot of consequences and like harm to another person. And the person receiving it should understand, like, wait, maybe I'm taking this too hard. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm reading into it too much. Or maybe I've got to think about this differently. So the solution has to come from both sides. It's not just controlling bullying. It's also making people understand like how to see it for what it is and possibly what it is not.
Yeah, because, you always have the clown in the bunch. It's not the one necessarily trying to hurt you. It's just the one that's trying to make everybody laugh, like pointing out, something. Just be like, oh, look, you got 2 Mitch Mac socks. La, la, la. It's just something like that. Something really
exactly.
Stupid. And it's just like you said, man. It's just the recipient, they got to decipher if this is really harmful or if it's just something playful. And I believe there's a lack of that now. It's just like everything now is with malice intent, and when it's really not sometimes.
Right. That's exactly the case. The education for anti-bullying, I keep seeing this and it frustrates me. I keep saying, don't be a bully. Well, most people don't even understand when they're doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how often does someone wake up in the morning and say, today I'm going to have some breakfast. I'm going to go to school, say to my friends, and I'm going to bully person XYZ. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but it doesn't happen as much as we like to think it does. It's more of, hey, this is who I am, and I'll whoever's in the path of my radar today is going to get it.
Yeah. Now, kind of back to you a little bit. I mean, you was talking about how you were bullied as a youngster and whatnot. Did that lead to you learning martial arts or looking into MMA?
It's funny. Actually, I didn't start any type of martial arts training until I think I was like 19 or so. I was a late starter in that because, so during high school, beginning of high school, from little kid up to beginning of high school, I had a lot of bullying happening. And what happens is, when guys grow to a certain size, the physical bullying kind of stops or lessens, right? That's just how guys work and physical bullying works. If they see you're a threat, they won't physically bully, but the social bullying started or continued. The physical bullying really stopped, not just when I got bigger, but when I started playing football. And that helped me really understand, how to talk to people, how to communicate. And, if I was a linebacker, so, if you smash that running back and just plaster him across the ground and get up, your team's got a lot of respect for you. Mm-hmm. And I was like, got it. Physical respect will lessen that physical. Oh, okay. I see how this works. And then I got into the martial arts later just because in playing football in Canada, where I'm from, you get to a point where you're like, okay, I never had dreams or aspirations of playing in the NFL, right? That's a completely different elevated type of human being that makes the NFL. The CFL was a possibility, remote, but still a possibility. Mm-hmm. The CFL does not pay that well. Okay. I mean, there's a team in Saskatchewan, for example, they're called the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. At one point, they were accepting bales of hay as payment for tickets.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, so I didn't, and it's nothing against Saskatchewan. It's just, I knew I was going to end up in Los Angeles, which is slightly different than Saskatchewan. So I said, I got to make a pivot here. And I made the decision to jump, and I had, personal reasons as well. I made the jump into martial arts, and, MMA was just starting back then. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is for me. And I just went nuts with it. I went insane. So all the amount of hours I put into football, replace that with martial arts training.
Okay. Now, with MMA and everything and how you say you kind of gravitated toward it and everything, did you feel like that maybe you could have had a career doing that? Maybe some UFC contingency ship or whatever?
I definitely could have done, I think, something. Look, to fight in the UFC or to fight in a high league or a high level league in MMA, you need not just the physicality, not just the tools. There's a mindset you have to have. And I could have overcome that mindset, but okay. So I was living in Georgia at the time, and I'm sitting there with my coach, and I've trained fighters, and I did a couple little fights, whatever. And back in Canada years ago, and my coach is like, "Hey, you're in your 20s, you got to make a decision. Do you want to fight professionally, or do you want to just not fight professionally and just make be an instructor or own a martial arts business? What do you want to do?" And I remember we're sitting at a coffee shop, and I said, and I was working for a software company at the time. I was a software designer. And I said, okay, if you can tell me that if I give it my all, that in 3 years, there's a good chance, if all goes well, I can make $100,000. I'll quit my job and I'll go into training full time. Let's give this a go. And once my coach stopped laughing, and said, he stopped laughing. He said, I can't even guarantee you're going to make $30,000 a year.
Damn.
In 3 years' time. And I said, got it. And I really appreciated that honesty. It wasn't like, you don't have the talent, or you do have the talent, or it wasn't that at all. He was just very real. He's like, financially, if you're looking to make money, in this industry, you're in the wrong industry. Mm-hmm. And he was right. Wow. He was absolutely right. He was. And I said, got it. And it was thanks to him, and I consider him like a big brother of sorts. Yeah. And I said, got it. I'm like, so I'm not going to do this professionally. Now, Funny story. Do you remember there was a league called Elite XC? They were on CBS for a while.
I vaguely do.
Okay, like Kimbo Slice was fighting for them.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay, so when they went off of CBS, they reorganized and they called themselves Pro Elite, and they had a few shows on like HDNet, which I think is now Access.
Yeah.
And so I went in there to talk to them about like the landscape of sponsorships within mixed martial arts, because the UFC was doing some stuff. This was before the Reebok deal and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah. So
I'm sitting in the meeting, dressed business casual, whatever. And there's the heads of the fighting organization are there. And I'm a heavyweight. I'm about 6'3", 260 or so. And I've been training for a while. And it's hard to find qualified heavyweights to compete. And at the time they had a heavyweight tournament. So they stop the meeting and they turn to me and they say, "Hey, James, are you comfortable grabbing a mic and calling someone out?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I am. Absolutely." And I'm like, "Why do you ask?" Like during a sponsorship meeting, right? Like, why do you ask? And they said, "Well, maybe we want you to fight for us."
Now, I'm just trying to imagine this whole thing. You're in there, you got your business slacks on, your nice shoes, right. your polo with maybe the top 2 buttons undone, got it tucked into your trousers and everything. Nice belt, sleek profile and everything. You got your chart up on the wall. You going through your slides and everything. I was like, and if you can look here, you can see the third quarter numbers. And they was like, "James, would you like to punch somebody in the face?"
Correct.
Excuse me, sir.
Right. So I stopped and I'm just looking at the guys. I'm like, "Are you being serious?" And they wanted to make me an offer right then and there. And I said, and I took a breath and I said, "Okay." And what they didn't know is I knew how much, and it wasn't that it was private information. It's just I know this stuff really well. I know the industry. At the time, there was a fighter named Andrei Arlovsky, who was a former UFC heavyweight champ who was fighting for them. Mm-hmm. And he had the highest paid fight at $60,000. Mm-hmm. So I already knew that number. So I said, "Got it." So I turned to them. I said, "No problem. I'll fight for you guys for $500,000. I said, "Where's the contract?" And there's silence in the room, and they're like, "What?" And they said, you're going to ask us to pay you $500,000 to fight in the tournament?" I said, "Oh, no. $500,000 for my first fight." And I said, "If all goes well, for my second fight, we'll negotiate something new." Now, of course, I knew they'd never agree to it, but I had to kind of take myself out of the running, so I wasn't tempted, and that they knew I'm just not going to do it. Yeah. But that was the last time I was offered like a high profile fight.
That makes sense. And then after the fact, it was like, "Well," and he was like, "Okay." And back to what I was saying. If you look
exactly.
At the third quarter,
back to sponsorships.
But I mean, that's the thing too, man. Cause like, I love professional wrestling. I love it. I love it. I love it. And like, I've done minor training in it or whatever. And I know enough to where like I can possibly put a match together, but I know damn well I'm nowhere near the level of any, seasoned indie veteran, but, if somebody was to offer me enough to where I could, quit my job, like how you saying, I mean, that would have probably been a good come up for you. I'm not necessarily saying that you would have had to quit your job or could have quit your job off of $500,000, but I mean, it was a step in the right direction,
Okay. So, professional wrestling, I'm a huge fan of pro wrestling, love pro wrestling. And on a side note, whenever I'm asked which one is harder on a person's body, pro wrestling or MMA, it's clearly pro wrestling.
You're fucking right.
Absolutely. Like, no doubt, pro wrestling, the risks they take, I mean, it is definitely pro wrestling. But with that being said, not a lot of people in MMA, especially in professional ranks, are killing it financially. Mm-hmm. And and Dana White won't shy away from that fact either. And there's not a lot of money right now that fighters are making. Like Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell have a fight scheduled. I hope it's going to be announced soon. Mm-hmm. They're fighting under the new promotion with Oscar De La Hoya. I think it's going to be in November or something like that. Mm-hmm. And the structure is going to be a lot of money from pay-per-views. I mean, this is just what I'm hearing. It could be changing. Whatever is going to go to Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell. And the reason why they came up with the structure is because a lot of fighters really don't take home a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And it's not, I'm not trying to dissuade anyone from being a fighter. I'm just trying to encourage people to really research it before getting into it.
Yeah. And then, do you feel like if you're going to take that path, you know, you want to be all in and be a professional fighter and whatnot, do you also need to have like some kind of a business plan as well? Because I mean, ultimately, I mean, it is a business. Because like who's that? CM Punk. I mean, pretty much he got paid based on name value, who he was and where he came from and everything. And from what I understand, I could be totally wrong, but it's hearsay. I don't research this shit. He made more just participating in that fight and losing that fight than the dude who actually won the fight.
Correct. By far.
So, I mean, just that alone would make you think like, I need to have my ducks in order. I need to have, you know, a plan other than just going there and get my fucking bell rung night to night.
Oh, yeah. No, you're so right. You're so right. So, yeah, clearly you understand how this works. So, a buddy of mine who, fought in the UFC, and he's not a big name in the UFC. He was talking about, you know, he works for, a towing company. That's his, main job while he's a fighter for the UFC. And he's kind of lamenting the fact he's not making a lot of money from the UFC. And I said, number one, you signed the contract. You knew what you were getting into as you signed it, right? I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying you signed it willingly. Yeah. You didn't have to, right? And you had a full-time job. Yeah. So it wasn't like, you had nothing. I said, secondly, the PR machine of the UFC, like how much PR, like how much would you pay a publicist to get the visibility and PR that you get by being on a fight for the UFC? Yeah. It's many thousands of dollars, and that's part of what you get. So what I said to him was, you need to create your own personal brand that can exist and be monetized outside of the UFC. Yep. I mean, Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather. Bingo.
It's just, oh man, it's just crazy, man. It's just, what makes me sad or whatever is just like, you have legitimately great athletes that do these sports and everything. It can be not just MMA, it can be professional wrestling, it can be boxing, basketball, whatever the case may be. And you have those some few that's like were held as great in their prime, but when they kind of step back away from it, or they have like a kind of a lull and everything, you see those same people like, and here we are talking about Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
This dude should be like on an island somewhere, just chilling out and drinking.
So why do you think he's not?
I don't know. But then again, to flip it up, I'm kind of fucking up my own little story there. He could just love it that much.
I think it's a combination of the two. Mm-hmm. Like when I think Chuck Liddell and do you remember Matt Hughes?
Yes.
Okay, so they had a position with the UFC. I don't know if they had to, how much they had to show up or how much they had to do to participate, but out of respect for what they did for the UFC and putting their body on the line over and over and helping Dana White out, Dana helped, and I think the Fertittas or the ownership at the time helped to orchestrate getting them, vice president or desk jobs. Mm-hmm. Right. And they were there for life. And Dana said, as long as we run and own the company, you guys have jobs. Yeah. And then what happened was they sold the UFC, and rightfully so. I hate to say it. William Morris and IMG, they came in and they said, okay, so who's getting paid more than they should? Where are we losing money? Yeah. And sure enough, Chuck Liddell and Matt Hughes were out of a job.
Yeah. It was just like, hey, man, we about to make all this money, dog. Let me sign this. Oh, shit, Chuck. God damn, I forgot.
Yeah. And actually, Chuck Liddell is a very nice – I bumped into him a couple of times in Los Angeles. Very nice guy. Very nice guy. And Matt Hughes, I did an interview with him years ago. Very professional, and some people took it like felt like he was mean or not very professional. It's actually just the opposite. Mm-hmm. So many people were clamoring for his attention that he's like, okay, that's cool. What are my responsibilities professionally? Let me take care of that first. Yeah. So he was very, very professional. I liked them both a whole lot.
Yeah. Now, being a person that's dabbled with a little bit of MMA and everything, I'm looking at your profile here. I'm looking at your picture and whatnot. You're a handsome fella or whatever thing. And
I was hoping you'd say that. Thanks for noticing.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you're aware of your handsomeness as well. But how does it fucking feel to get punched in the goddamn face? I mean, with all that handsomeness. I mean, I don't imagine that's something that you would particularly like so much. I mean, you got to keep your skills up so you can evade and dodge, duck, dip, and all that shit, just like dodgeball.
Okay, well, first of all, when that picture was taken, the guy doing the headshots had the perfect angle. There was one angle where I didn't look like a shaved Sasquatch. There was one angle, and he found it, right? So that's, that was a 1 in a million shot. He captured it. Secondly, you can't tell from that picture, but I've got cauliflower ear on my left ear. Like what wrestlers have when the ears get all kind of mangled. I've got a little bit there, and I'm missing 2 teeth.
What?
Yeah, their molars are on the sides. So when I smile, it looks like I've got all my teeth in front. They're on the side.
Yeah, I mean, business in the front, party in the rear.
I have no idea what you're talking about. But yeah, so, but no, it's, I got to tell you, I've got a really good group of people. I've got a small MMA facility in Los Angeles, because I just loved what we do. And, I love the jiu-jitsu. I've been doing that forever. I'm more of a boxer and kickboxer than I am a jiu-jitsu guy. But here's the thing. Martial arts training, especially MMA, if you train with the right people, it's not that it's injury free. It's just that you can minimize the risk a whole lot.
Yeah.
And it is so much fun, regardless if you get hit or tapped out or whatever. If you're training with the right people and you're having a great time, that's how I get my socialization out. You know what I mean? Like that's how I get to vent while I'm training.
Yeah.
So it's not that my problems go away. It's just that I can handle that stuff way easier. So that's, plus there's, going back to the anti-bullying, people can read when you're confident about yourself physically.
Mm-hmm.
And that has helped me in business, in negotiations, in relationships, all that kind of stuff, because I can easily say, hey, you know what? I was wrong, and not try to put up this false pretense of whatever. I can be like, yeah, you know what? I accept responsibility. I was wrong. How can I fix this? Or I can say, hey, you know what? I'm not cool with what you're doing. We got to talk about it. Yeah. And that's something that Jay and I laugh about, because, Jay is a great guy. And he's so cool. And I'm like, Jay, you've got to stand up for yourself a bit more. Tell him you didn't like that. He's like, yeah, but he's got that Southern gentleman thing going on, which is cool. Mm-hmm. I do not. Yeah.
I don't know. Jay's a cool cat, man.
Jay is a great guy. He is a great human being.
Man, as far as the MMA scene, from the little group and from the facility that you run and whatnot, do you feel like you have any stars within your camp? Like somebody that has like unlimited potential, to just need the right push in the right direction?
That's an interesting question. We don't train fighters.
Oh, it's just like,
yeah. So here's what happened when I moved to LA, and after a few years, I realized there's a ton of really talented MMA coaches and instructors out in Los Angeles, a lot of them, and they're not all some are doing okay and some are not financially. Mm-hmm. And it's not that I'm all about the money, but as two family men talking to each other, it's real important to take care of our responsibilities.
Yeah.
Our kids need to eat. We need to, make sure everything's good. They're clothes, the whole thing. And what I realized is, more and more, there's not a lot of money in fighting except for at the, highest levels. And even then it's, maybe there's 20 people as fighters who are killing it, if that. So my facility is, thankfully in a really nice part of Los Angeles, and I just want to train people who want to learn, and I'll teach maybe a couple times a week, and I've got an amazing staff and salespeople, manager, the whole thing. So when I teach, it's more from self defense as opposed to teaching someone how to win in the cage.
Okay.
Now, with that being said, did you ever watch that show Justified?
I tried. I only got past the first part when he shot the bazooka in the building.
Fair enough. Okay. I haven't seen all the episodes either. The reason I bring that up, in season 6, there's a really big, huge guy named, I think his name is Choo Choo. And his name is Duke Roberts. He was the last fighter I ever trained. He was an amateur MMA champion. Yeah, he was from our school. And he won a title in 3 fights.
Sweet.
And he's 6'5". Now he's probably like 250. At the time he was 6'5", 205, and just a monster. And people were like not calling me out as an MMA instructor because, I cut my teeth in Georgia. So I moved to LA. No one knew who I was. And they're like, oh, my name, my facility is Max Impact. They're like, oh, Max Impact. They don't know what they're doing. They don't compete. And I'm like, all right, cool. Really? And then Duke, came to me. He's like, I want to do some fights. I'm like, all right, cool. And you'll be my last person I ever train. Let's do it. And within 3 fights, he won a championship in his last fight was 47 seconds.
Damn.
Where he just took out a guy, and a really good wrestler, really a combat veteran, a great guy too. But the whole thing was like, I said, I'm gonna send a message to everybody. If they ever doubt what I can do, Duke, you're going to be the emissary of that message. And we did it.
See, I mean, that's what I'm saying, though. I mean, you got people within your circle that can go on to do great things and whatnot.
Right.
It could be like the never back down story. He just had all this anger and rage, and you went in there and you shaped him and molded him, but you're not like a tall, bald black guy with an accent. And
no. I try. I just, I can, as handsome as you say I am, I'm not. I don't think I'll ever hit the same universe of handsomeness as I forget that actor, but he's amazing. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Lord.
Yes. He's someday, hopefully I'll grow into that kind of handsomeness. I'm just, not today.
Yeah, me too. I aspire to be that when I grow up.
Yeah. Speaking of really cool people that I look up to and I really admire them as a pure fan, you had on your show, if I'm not mistaken, Michael J. White not too long ago, correct?
Correct.
That guy is amazing.
Indeed.
Like I've been a fan of his for years. And the great thing about him too, and I've never spoken to him personally or anything like that. So I hope he's a great guy. He kind of appears to be like a really cool guy.
Yes.
But it's not just his physical acting. He's an amazing voice actor too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, kudos for getting him on the show. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. I was just like, I was shitting my pants over here. And what kind of really, snapped me into reality that like this shit was really going down. Like his person, his PR person, whoever that was handling the interview and everything, who I was doing the correspondence with. She gave me the time. She gave me the little email invitation to where I can either go to the website and she'll patch me in on a conference call, or I can call this little number. Yeah. And, punch in the code and it'll patch us through and everything. So, all right. So I'm sitting there. I get on the computer. I go to the website. I'm in the little virtual waiting room and everything. And they're just playing this music and talking about, you can book your own conference and, all the commercials and ads and shit while you wait. And I'm just sitting here. First of all, I'm dying laughing at this goddamn music that they're playing in here.
Sure.
Cause it's a dude that's playing a song that's describing everything that I'm experiencing at the time. He's like, you're waiting in this room, waiting for a phone call.
Well, that's how you know it's official.
Yeah. And I was just like, I even made that the bonus, content for that show. So like, if you want to hear that song, just go back to the episode and go to the end. You can hear the whole thing. And, I'm sitting there, I'm listening, and like, I didn't heard the song like 3 or 4 times. And it's like, I'm looking at the clock and I was like, fuck, we kind of like a couple minutes over the time we supposed to start. And I'm like, oh, but shit. I mean, he famous. Maybe he canceled or whatever. I mean, no big deal. It was like me kind of like, well, shit. I mean, if he canceled, I mean, it's cool. At least I got this far. I'm not worried about it. It's like,
sure.
As soon as I can hang this phone up, I can be calm and just be done with this shit. And, she pop on the phone real quick. She's like, okay, yeah, he's running a little bit late, blah, 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 blah. He'll be on in like 5 minutes. I was like, okay, cool. Get back on. I'm listening to the dudes singing my woes again. Oh, you're waiting for a phone call. La, la, la. All this bullshit. And then, start ringing just like a Skype call, to get the little tones and shit. And I see the number and I see the name and I'm just like, fuck. And then like, cause how you just called me a little while ago. As soon as I seen the little thing pop up, boom, press the green button. Let's talk. But him, I was just sitting there. I was like, maybe if I let it ring 2 more times, he'll hang up. And I was like, fuck, I answered it. And, the rest was history, man.
There's an expression out here that, I know you're familiar with too. It's like, never meet your heroes.
Yeah.
Right. And what I'm talking about? Like there's been a bunch of like actors out here or whatever that I've met. And I'm like, oh my God, I just want to say I'm a big fan of your work. And I'm not expecting a friendship or anything big. And all I need to say was I'm a fan of your work and I'll walk away. But and sometimes you get some really not cool reactions.
Yeah.
Or had some weird interactions. I can tell that Michael J. White is the exception to that rule. You totally want to meet him.
Yeah. I mean, and I can even like, it's not in the episode cause I cut that part out because, I just went over the spiel like how I went with you. I was like, hey, I'm gonna do this, blah, 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 blah. And then we get started. But like before we even started, the first thing I said to him, it was just kind of like along the lines of what you said. He's like, man, I appreciate you, for what you do and giving me your time and everything. And I was like, man, I'm be honest, I'm nervous or whatever. He's like, I never thought that I would be on the other side of a phone conversation with you. He's like, well, I don't see why you're nervous. You could have got somebody better than me. And then right there, just like all that nervousness or whatever, it kind of settled down or whatever. And I was just good after that.
What's funny is that we look at certain people and they themselves, like actors, kind of are familiar and kind of have, like, if they're honest with themselves, understand where they stand in the big scheme of things, right? Like, you've got your Tom Cruise action stars, I get it. There's certain people that maybe have a wider world level appeal. I understand that. But the reality is, to people like you and I, that, like a Michael J. White, I would lose my mind talking to him, like, oh my God, because and martial arts and Mm-hmm. There's certain people that for us are higher ranking celebrities than others. And I think that was the situation for you, right? And even though he wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. He even said that in an interview or whatever. He's like, sometimes I forget, I'm that guy. I'll just be going out somewhere and somebody come up to me and it's like, oh yeah, I'm an actor.
Well, I'm sure that happens to you at Walmart all the time, right? You're just, walking, patrolling the halls of Walmart.
Well, no, not so much.
No,
I'm waiting for that day though.
Okay.
The only thing that I got close to that, and I told him the same thing, is just like, I'm retired military. So I got like any other guy, I got one of those hats, hey, I'm a retired whatever. And I forget I wear this motherfucker all the time. And I'm just walking around and be like, oh, thank you for your service. And I'm like, how the fuck they know I was in the military? It's like, oh fuck, I got this damn hat on. Right,
that was your first clue. Yes.
Yeah,
I get it. That's cool. So let me ask you your true, honest opinion. What do you think of the Who Would Win podcast?
I like it a lot. I mean, for me, it's just like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't listen to every single episode, but when it comes to like your matchups and everything like that, it's just like that's the ones I look for, because it's like I look for the ones that I intentionally don't know anything about. Cause like the ones that I know about, like certain characters or whatever, I kind of like, all right, I know about this, but the ones that I don't know about, that's the shows that I really enjoy listening to or whatnot, because it's educating me on that character. And, it also, when I learn about these things, it made me want to go look up the source material or some of the movies associated with that character and everything. So I really enjoy that part of it. Just because it's you two, I enjoy it that much more, because both of y'all.
Oh, well, thank you.
Both of y'all are awesome. And I like how you, just happen to bump into people in the gym and they tell you, they would win in a fight. I like that a lot too. I like how I discovered that you were kind of a PG show. And when I was on there, I cussed entirely too much.
Well, we didn't realize we were a PG show either until you were on. That was a cool mutual discovery.
Yeah. See, I mean, there you go. We learned.
You helped us. We learned from each other. This is good. Yeah. So this is kind of a weird thing that happens sometimes. So I wear a Who Would Win shirt because, why not? And it's just a black T-shirt that says #Who Would Win. And it's to promote the show, but it's also some people take it the wrong way.
Yeah.
They think I'm challenging them to a fight. And do you know who feels the most offended by this between men and women?
Women.
Yeah.
Because I remember the
episode. Yeah, I couldn't believe someone was like, oh, I was just wearing the shirt. And someone came up to me and said, yeah, you know what? I would. And I'm like, you would what? And she said, I'd win. And I'm like, oh, you would win. Okay, congratulations. You would win what? And she was referencing my shirt. I forgot I was wearing it.
See, the hat.
Exactly the same thing. And she's like, I, if we got into a fight, I'd win. And I'm not saying I can beat everybody. I'm not saying I could whatever. But when someone just like that you don't expect to physically challenge you and is that confident, you kind of step back a little bit and say, wait a second. Why is she so confident she can kick my ass? What's going on? Yeah. So, yeah, we have a fight scheduled later. I'm going to watch some tape of how she fights and everything. And then, yeah, if you could be that guy who, we'll throw some pro wrestling into it. If she starts to win, I'll create a distraction. Can you jump in with like a steel chair?
Yeah. I got you. I mean, it's the classic thing, man. I mean, I'll let you handle that. I'll let you can give a low blow while I jump on the apron and distract the referee. You can just hit
perfect
low blow. Bow.
I hope that works against her. I'm not sure it will. I don't know. You never know. Maybe who knows?
I don't know. The way she talking, I mean, she kind of like she got some testosterone built up or something like that. I don't know.
Listen, I have nothing against anybody. If you're pre or post or whatever, if that's who you are, great. I've got lots of friends who are all over. It's great. But why are you challenging me? I didn't do anything.
Yeah, it's just a shirt, man. I'm be honest with you. That's the only reason why I haven't bought one yet.
You know what? I don't think that's it. I came up with I have another theory. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think she thought the gym had the same kind of atmosphere as, prison.
Yeah.
And she thought I was like a notable person. Like if she took me out, right, she would be then like, not that I'm the biggest or toughest guy or whatever, but if she took me out, then that gives her more credibility in the gym. Yeah. That's my theory.
She's trying to get that street cred. I got you.
Exactly. So I'm watching out for her.
In the vein of martial arts and professional wrestling, who are some of your favorites?
Oh, wow. So I loved, I'm going to go way back. When I was a little kid, I really liked watching Rick Martel. Right, you're laughing, right? The model. I have nothing in common with this guy, nothing. But the reason I liked him is because where I'm from, there's this small little, barely professional wrestling league called International Wrestling. And they were out of like Montreal and certain parts of Quebec. And this really horrible Canadian television station would like televise their matches. And there's like, 18 people in the crowd. And the Rougeau brothers were, I'm going way back, right? I'm kind of aging myself here. And then when I saw Rick Martel make it from there to the WWE and the Rougeau brothers are there, I'm like a little kid. I'm like losing my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh. So it was like cool. I got to see these wrestlers go from small little leagues to now they're in huge arenas at WrestleMania. So I love that kind of stuff. Loved watching. There's something about Jake the Snake I loved watching because he would just, he's a tall guy, but he's not like he's built. Right. He kind of looks like he's got a dad bod going in and he's somehow bringing a snake in. Like, can you imagine the production meeting when they're talking about Jake the Snake? They're like, okay, we have this guy and he's kind of, he's kind of soft and pudgy a little bit. Great talker on the mic. And but like, all these other guys are 6'7", 300 pounds. Doesn't really compare. What do we do? They're like, let's give him a snake to bring into the ring. Yeah. Okay. Sure, why not? And then, sorry, go ahead.
It's funny that you bring him up because, like, I watched SummerSlam last night, and they got a show on the network called Storytime, and he was one of the ones that was telling stories and shit. He was talking about, like, you got your professional wrestlers that travel up and down the road and everything, and damn, I got my one bag, I got all my street clothes and my hygiene gear in it, then I got my other bag with all my wrestling gear in it, then I got this big 50-pound bag I got a live snake in that I keep inside a trunk that I got. And he was telling another story. I forgot who he was driving with, but it was him and somebody else that was driving, and the snake was in the back, and the snake got out of his little pouch or whatever. It crawled up under the seat and wrapped around dude's leg that was driving and wedged itself in between the accelerator and the brake. So he was like, why are you driving so fast? He's like, I'm not. He's like, dude, we're going faster right now. He's like, I don't know. I'm not doing anything. And he looked down, the snake wrapped around his leg and the accelerator. And he's like, every time he tried to press the brake, the snake would snap at his feet and shit. And
oh my gosh. Yeah. There's not many animals that freak me out. Like, tarantulas, that lady at the gym who challenged me. But other than those types, there's like snakes really just, I don't know. There's something about snakes that are just. Yeah, snakes. I don't know what's going on. It's a visceral, instinctive. I have a funny story about snakes, by the way.
I'm all ears.
All right, here we go. So I'm visiting Los Angeles and, just on a date with this person who would eventually become my wife. And she says, hey, let's go hiking. I'm like, of course, because who doesn't love hiking? Hiking's a big thing out here. So we go up and there's, sometimes you'll see rattlesnakes like in the grass or, underneath the tree or whatever. There was a rattlesnake that was like half on the path and yet like just straight out looking like it was just taking in some sun or something and just there in a straight line. And the tongue's coming out, but it's not moving. And I stopped because I've never seen a rattlesnake like live before. So my, future wife starts laughing. She's like, listen, come on, don't worry about it. We all know what to do. Use some common sense. You know what to do when you see a snake in the path. And she meant to walk really far around it and just keep going.
Away.
Right. I misinterpreted what she said and picked up the biggest freaking rock I could and was about to Hulk smash it. And she's like, what in the hell are you doing? I'm like, that is an evil creature in front of me. And it's either the snake or me. And I'm going to be okay. And I didn't kill the snake.
Oh, man. I would have been on the same level with your wife or whatever. We would have left the park and drove around to the other end of the park and continue to walk that way.
Right. We're going to go outside of LA to come back through Oregon to the other side of the trail. Yeah. We're good to go. Yeah.
See, there was a time, one woman I was dating, which would become Mrs. B. Rob. And, we was just walking around her apartment complex and everything. And, I have a thing I think the most gentlemanly thing that you could do if we're walking on the sidewalk. I'm gonna walk next to the street.
Sure.
Because car come up off the curb, it'll hit me. I can push you out the way, be Superman, some bullshit like that. I don't know.
Sure.
But she was by the street, and I was getting ready to. I put my arm around her. I was getting ready to move her to the inside so I can be by the street and everything. And there was a snake on the ground.
No!
It was dead, but I didn't know that. And I let out the most girlish yell for the first time in front of her. And I grabbed her and I kind of like threw her off into the grass. I was like, ah! And just whatever. And she was like, what the hell are you doing? I mean, she was calm about the whole thing, and I'm freaking out because it's a motherfucking snake and I hate him so damn much.
Sure.
And she was like, it's dead. I was like, well, I didn't know that.
So what did you do to reclaim her affection? Because clearly it was lost the moment you screamed out, right?
Well, it was more like of a thing. I kind of it was kind of spun in a way of like, well, I didn't know it was dead. I was making sure that you were safe. I was protecting you. She's like, oh, that's so nice. I appreciate it.
She believed. I just need to understand this. She believed that you were protected. Like your girlish scream was a method of protection for her. You were alerting her to danger.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I shoot her out the way. I put myself between her and the snake.
The dead snake.
See, the yell, it was just like a defense mechanism. I was like, making big noises, trying to get the thing to crawl away. I was making myself big, like how they say you.
Oh, sure. Right.
There you go. I was just like, I was trying to get a frequency that would freak it out and make it crawl away. That's all I was trying to do.
I have a theory. My theory is that your scream was so effective, like so powerful, that it actually killed the snake.
See? Man, I should be on Who Will Win. I should be a character on there.
Oh, totally. The snake screamer.
What else would be my powers? I mean, other than the high frequency yelp.
You would have like some hypnotic powers because your snake scream would turn people off, but your power of hypnotism would convince them to somehow be more attracted to you despite the scream.
See, yeah, I mean, it must have worked on her. She's been here like 10 years.
That's right. Like, if you had to be a superhero, what would your power set be?
Man, I think about this often. I mean, it's weird that you would even say that because, I mean, I legitimately think about this often because, like,
great minds think alike.
I mean, obviously, I would want to fly.
Yes.
And I feel like, being able to fly and being invisible would probably be like the best combo. Because you can fly and be invisible. And then like you can just be like when Miss B Rob is in the shower, I can just kind of like sit on the toilet and be invisible and just be like hee 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 hee. And
wait. You can pick any powers you want, anything. And you would fly and be invisible so you could not be seen in the bathroom while your wife's taking a shower.
Yeah, I can just kind of like float over the top of the curtain and everything, just be invisible and just look down in the shower.
You're not allowed to be in the bathroom while she's taking a shower. Is that the case now? Or
no, that's just kind of annoying or whatever. Because like I love my wife so much that I go into the bathroom often when she's taking a shower, and it's kind of annoying to her. So it's like to cut down on that. I'd be invisible and just peeking over.
I appreciate the details of your home life, by the way.
Hey man, I love my wife. So what?
There's nothing wrong. Listen, I'm not one to judge. I'm just kind of judging you now, but I'm not one to judge. Whatever you want to do. Now, wait. So invisibility and flight. Would you be can you fly while not being invisible? Like, can you turn on your power of invisibility separate from your power of flight?
Yes.
Or do they have to be? Okay. So they're not, you can't. Okay. Because I think it'd be cool if you were flying, if people got to see you.
Yeah. It'll be like whenever I would want to use it. Got it.
Okay. So flight.
Yeah. So
invisibility.
What's my cap though? Do I get 5 or 2, 3? What I get?
What's
my power limit? Do I get 3 powers or 5 powers? Is it a 2-piece combo meal or a 5-piece? I don't.
Well, typically I limit it at 3, but this is your show, so I'll limit it to 3.5. Go ahead.
Okay. Damn, a half power. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I get laser vision in one eye, my good eye.
Well, like people like I have, the proportionate strength of a spider. Like, what if you had half that?
Yeah, I guess that could work, I guess.
Right. Then you're just like a, angry old man. Like there's old man strength, right? Which is still stronger than an Olympic athlete.
Yeah. So, I mean.
Right. So you could have that. Okay. So what would be, I'm going to give you 4 powers. I'm going to be generous. 4 powers. What you got? Flight, invisibility. What else?
That's a good even number. Let's see.
Okay. By the way, you don't need super intelligence, as you already have that.
Man, you like the best guess ever.
I'm just saying what everyone's thinking.
All right. Well, man, you took away one of them then. All right. So I got invisibility. I got flight. I would like to have some kind of strength, because you never know I had to bust through some shit or whatever. Because I mean, just merely being invisible doesn't make me able to like get through shit. Like, so if a motherfucker go in a room and lock me in, I'm stuck in a room invisible.
Right. You can't fly out of a locked room and turn you invisible. You're still in a locked room. You're right. You need an ability to get out of the locked room. So okay, what level though? Are you able to pick up a car? Can you like lift a planet? Like, what level of strength are you going with?
I'll be satisfied with maybe like a semi-trailer or something like that. I'll be satisfied with that.
That's pretty good.
I could do a little bit of damage. And then, so I wouldn't just be reliant on my strength or whatever in like that locked room scenario or whatever. I would like the phasing ability. I can phase through matter and, solid objects and shit like that. So bam, that's my 4.
Oh, wow. I love the phasing with the invisibility.
Yeah. So it's just like, I'm a ghost.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. You're like super ghost.
Yeah. Not like that shitty one on Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah, she's like, that's half a power. She was like half a ghost.
Yeah, that would be the half that you was talking about.
She's like, I'm going to punch you twice. The first one isn't going to do anything, but the second punch is getting you. Yeah. So if I hit you, as long as I hit you like 50 times or throw 50 punches, I'm getting 25 punches in. I wasn't really crazy about that power.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of feinting in there. It's just like, psych, hit you, psych, hit you.
So I have a thought for a superpower, and it'll overcome a lot of them. What if you had the superpower of intimidation, like super intimidation?
Okay. Expand upon that. I mean,
so if you
I get what you're saying, but
you're facing the Hulk.
Yes.
And the Hulk's like ready to Hulk smash you. You turn on your power of super intimidation. The Hulk takes off.
Kind of like Thanos in Infinity War.
Kind of, yeah. But he had to kind of crush the Hulk physically to do it. Let's say you didn't even have to do that. It's like how you are at Walmart now, how people like are intimidated by you.
Kind of like I did with the snake.
Correct. Like you had snake intimidation, but no one would scream.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm down with that.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I still wouldn't take that over the 4 that I got now. Cause I mean, that would add a 5th power and you put me in the bracket of 4. So I'm gonna stick with my 4.
What makes you deserving of 5 powers? I'm not saying you're not deserving. Maybe I missed something. Like, why do you think you deserve 5 powers as opposed to 4?
No, because you said
this is a very serious question.
No, because you said that. You said 4, and that's what I'm gonna stick with because you're a man, you're knowledgeable, and in your realm of comic book and martial arts and bully fighting and all this stuff, and I respect your opinion. If you say 4, I'm gonna stick with 4, and that's the end of it.
Wow, you are a good man. You're good. I gotta tell you, when my wife's getting kind of frustrated at dinner parties, or when we go out with like other friends, like couples, because guess what? People don't over dinner typically don't talk a lot about.
I don't know, having superpowers.
That'd be it. Yeah, exactly. So they're like, hey, what'd you think of like, I mean, I can talk football and some sports and all that, but when it starts getting into, like, I try to avoid politics just because there's nothing, there's no way you're going to be in 100% agreement with what anyone says, you know, just for whatever side you're on. But, you know, when someone starts talking about their, you know, what their favorite drink, I don't drink, you know, what their favorite drink is, or or they play golf, you know, whatever. And that's cool. I'm just not into it. I have nothing to say.
Well, see, I mean, that's kind of where I feel movies come into play. And, you know, because I mean, I believe everybody watches movies, you know, and, you know, I'm sitting in my movie room right now. I'm surrounded by all genre film, you know, horror, suspense, comic book movies, action, adventure, cartoons, all that shit. And, you know, I just feel like, if anything, if you were ever in a situation to where, you know, they're talking about golf, I don't like no motherfucking golf. The last time I played golf was Tiger Woods, 2009, maybe.
Oh, wow.
And, but I feel if you bring up some form of movie or even just reference something that you see in commercials for, I mean, that'll spark up some kind of conversation.
Oh, you know what? You're right. We have talked about movies and what have you. That's true. That's true. I try to get my wife to like watch, you know, cartoons with me, and she did go see Black Panther, loved it. She did go see Infinity War, loved it. So she's starting to become more open, you know, to superhero movies. I'm trying to get her to watch like some cartoons and what have you. A little bit of a challenge.
Yeah. Well, I know, you know, some of the things or a lot of shit I watch, my wife is not going to be into. Because I know what her realm is. One of the things that kind of, you know, made her Miss B. Rob is her love for action movies and martial arts movies. So, I mean, as soon as she said that, I was like, what's your favorite genre? Action. I'm scaring all the snakes for you. So.
The snake scare. I love it. I love it. She is a very lucky person.
Yes. Yeah. I'm the lucky one that she's the lucky one because she found me. So I found her, and that's just how it come together. Boom.
Boom. Exactly.
But like the other night, I got the 2-pack of Super Troopers, you know, Super Troopers 1 and Super Troopers 2. Now, to me, those movies are fucking hilarious. But to Mrs. B. Rob, not so much. I hate to say this, I've never seen those. Yeah, and that was the same thing with her. She never seen them too, because I mean, that's not her flavor of movie or whatever. I mean, she loves comedy, but not that kind of comedy.
So I have a funny story about that, Super Troopers. And this is how one of the reasons I love Los Angeles. So there's a beach area that has these like gymnastic type of like ropes and poles and beams, and sometimes people get together and do workouts there. And I got invited to do a workout. So me and this other guy are trying to keep up with everyone else who's been doing this for months, right? And and everyone's cool. I'm trying to do this. And so we're just taking a break, and he's like, hey, what's your name? I tell him. He's like, what do you do? I tell him, and I say, hey, what's your name? He's like, oh, I'm so-and-so. I'm like, cool. What do you do? He's like, I'm an actor. I'm like, cool. And what have you, like, anything I would recognize and love to check out your stuff? He's like, yeah, we just do this thing called, have you heard of it? Super Troopers. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't know what that is. Just the look on his face, like, really, asshole? You don't know what my movie? I'm like, no, I have no idea what that is. And I didn't mean to be a jerk, but I didn't know. So evidently I've worked out with one of the people from Super Troopers, and I unfortunately still haven't seen that movie.
Not even out of curiosity after the fact.
I know I should. I'm gonna force myself to watch it, not because of him, but because of you.
Okay. Well, I might be able to help you out. I think I got the digital copies, so I can probably hook you up with that, so you ain't got to spend none of your money.
I love it. You got the hookup.
Yeah, but I mean, stuff like that, you know, those type of comedies, you know, it was kind of like, to me, like, if it's a movie that I like a lot, but Mrs. B. Rob hasn't seen it, and I'm kind of trying to introduce it to her, I find myself not even watching the movie so much, but it's just trying to gauge her reaction. So something funny happened in Super Troopers, and I just look over here, I'm like, huh? You like that? That was pretty funny, huh? It's just like,
and yeah, nothing registers, right?
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck am I watching? And then, as with, I believe, just about every married couple, or, you know, a couple that's in a relationship, there's always the instance of, well, what do you want to watch? I don't know. What do you want to watch? I don't know. What do you want to watch? Well, what you in the mood for? You want to laugh? You want to cry? What is there always that thing? Like, what do you want to eat? I don't know. What do you want to eat? I don't know. What you got the taste for? Well, I don't know. Motherfucker, pick something. But
I try to watch the same, like my wife and I are just so not on the same page when it comes to watching shows. And she doesn't like watching a lot of like, you know, gory action adventure or horror, that kind of stuff.
Wife loves
but definitely not into cartoons, right? Mm-hmm. And so we finally it came to a head and I said, okay, I'll watch what you want to watch. You watch what I want to watch. Now, what do you want to watch? And Will and Grace had just come back on the air.
Oh.
And she pulls that card. Like, and I'm literally like, and I've got nothing against Will and Grace. Mm-hmm. I'm just not, I don't even think I'm the right demographic for the show. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy for everyone who's on the show. I'm not trying to put down the show. Mm-hmm. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's trying to convince me to watch it. And I finally say, fine, I'm going to watch it. And I'll watch 5 episodes or 6 episodes. She's like, okay. And I'll watch 6 episodes of your show. What are we going to do? I said, well, Voltron just came out with its next season. And she's like, Voltron. And she said, you're making fun of Will and Grace and you expect me to watch Voltron? I said, have you seen Voltron? No. And I'm defending Voltron to my wife, who's like an attorney. You know what I mean? So she's much smarter than I am. Mm-hmm. And end result, I didn't watch Will and Grace. She didn't watch Voltron. And I think she missed out.
Yeah. So you was up there like how you and JB like, all right, first of all, Voltron has 6.
I'm like, let's see, who would win in a fight? The cast of Will and Grace or all 5 combined lions into Voltron Defender of the Universe? Let's just weigh this out for a while.
I would listen to that battle.
It'd be a short battle.
But that's how I got Mrs. B. Rob though. We sat there, we watched the whole first Super Troopers one night. And then, you know, that was like the last movie we watched that day. So next day roll around. She was like, well, what do you want to watch? No, I was like, we're going to watch Major Payne tomorrow. Love that movie. And, we watched Major.
That one's good. That one's good.
So we watched Major Payne. And as I'm watching Major Payne, as a side note, I'm like, none of that shit would fly in today's society.
No.
And,
no.
We finished with it. And it was that same old roundabout. I knew it was coming. What do you want to watch now? And I didn't even say a word. I just went up there. I grabbed Super Troopers 2. I just put it in. Didn't say a word. Did
she slap you or anything when you did that?
No. Because it was like how it is. I went down to the DVD player. I put it in, started it up, and I sat down next to her. And then the menu screen come up, and she sees Super Troopers 2, and she just did that slow turn and eyeball. Was like, you motherfucker. I was like, hey, you didn't pick a movie. You was like, what you want to watch? Here it is. But after watching it, she was like, well, it was funnier than the first one. So I'll give you that.
You know what? On a side note, Damon Wayans, big fan of his since even, in Living Color and even before that. That's one of the people I'm surprised isn't a bigger name. It's not that he's a small name. Mm-hmm. That should be a household name.
Yeah. More people should know him for, for all the things he's done. But like, to me, he feel like old shtick to me. Cause like I seen him on the show that he had with Tisha Campbell, My Wife and Kids. And that was just like, I've seen this guy before. It's just, you just put him in a different situation. Even now, if you look at that show, Lethal Weapon that he's on, I was like, that one, I like it a little bit, but it's still that guy that I seen do all the same shit in different movies.
Okay, let me ask you a question. So I have a theory that he was, and possibly rightfully so, like comedically handcuffed.
Yeah.
For the show he had on ABC, right? You can only go so far.
Yeah.
And in Lethal Weapon, he's got to play a very specific character that has like 5 movies ahead of it.
Yeah, exactly.
To me, the ultimate expression, this is just my opinion, the ultimate expression of Damon Wayans was a character he played on In Living Color.
Blank Man. Or Handyman.
Nope. Handyman. Because, and think about it, it was this character who was, I don't think, he was definitely not mentally challenged, but definitely physically challenged.
Yes.
And his catchphrase was, let's get busy, whatever it was. And then he go to the window to fly away, but he just falls straight down. Yes. And my son and I were watching, my older son, and he's like, tell me about shows you used to watch. And I was saying TV was kind of a little bit different. And he thought it meant worse. And I'm like, oh, no. So we started watching, on YouTube, episodes of Handyman, or just the sketches of Handyman. He's laughing his ass off, and he says, but Dad, it's not cool to laugh at this. And I said, it's not, but do you notice Handyman always wins? Mm-hmm. And people always kind of think he can't do it, but he does. He vanquishes evil and outthinks people, and it showcases how people who have different types of handicaps can still do amazing things, regardless of what people think about. And he's like, yeah, we still can't watch this too often because this will be
the triumph of
that to me was like Damon Wayans. That was his. I mean, I know that was him. He's like, because they were on Fox at the time back then, right? I was reading some articles about it. They're like, well, what can we do to just like shock people? And he's like, let's just go, because Homie the Clown, as crazy as that was, Handyman took it to that next level.
Yeah. And then, like, I'm not going to say that he was like always like that, because he did produce some good movies. Because, like, I can remember Major Payne being one of them. I mean, it was still a comedic movie, but, that was a good movie. Then I can remember him and his brother in Mo Money.
Oh, yeah.
So,
that's
I mean, it was a funny movie per se, but that was like a serious movie.
Yeah.
And then
that's some real serious messages about it. You're right.
Yeah. The Last Boy Scout. That was fucking amazing. I love that.
He was great in that.
So, I mean, he had a lot of that in him. I just didn't see a lot of it. And just like, when it comes to that comedy stuff, it was just like, this is the same old hat. I mean, I think I like his stand-up comedy more than I like his on-screen comedy.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so
that's a very good point. Well, that circles us back to Michael J. White too, right? Like, this is, a lot of people who are familiar with his work think of him as like martial arts action star. Mm-hmm. That just happens to be something he can do really, really well. But he's got a lot of other things he can do really, really well too.
Because comedy in the Madea movies and I forget, For Better or For Worse television show. And I mean, that's not martial arts at all. And then, he even did before, because he talked about it as well. It's just like he didn't want to go into acting being the guy that can do the martial arts. He went in and pursued roles to where he didn't have to do martial arts. This dude was in the motherfucking Toxic Avengers 2 and 3. Didn't even fucking know that.
Wait, Toxic Avenger or Toxic Crusade? What? I know which movies you're talking about. He was in those?
Yeah, 2 and 3. Part 2 and 3.
I have to go back and see those. I know I've seen them too, but that's crazy.
I've seen them too, but I don't remember him. And when I was going through his IMDb, I seen this shit and I was just like, because one of my questions was like, on IMDb, they got listed as 50 years old. And that's why I was like, dude, you don't look 50 at all. He's like, you're right. I'm over 50. I was like, oh shit.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And do you remember like growing up, what 50 years old really looked like back then?
Oh man, it looked like a worn out leather couch.
That's right. That's right. Well, hey, so I have to go in a minute, but I was going to do something because your whole walking the aisles of Walmart has really captivated, me, and I know millions of others. And, I'm producing a couple little shows, and I wanted to pitch a show to you.
I'm listening.
Okay. Just keep with me here. So it's you and your adventures walking the aisles of Walmart. Now, think of it this way. There's like, you remember that there was an old show before our time. It was in the, I think, 60s or 70s. It was the Kung Fu show where this character got,
David Carradine.
Carradine goes to China, gets trained as a Shaolin monk, comes back to the United States, and it's like the Wild West, and it's his adventures in the Wild West. And every episode was a different adventure. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, take out the Wild West, put in someplace much more dangerous, Walmart, and take out, David Carradine, whatever his name was, Kid Carradine, and put you in there. Okay. And some days you're there and you're, stopping, something bad from happening. And some days you're there, there's a earthquake and everyone's like, it's post-apocalyptic and you've got to save the day and keep everyone calm until help comes or zombies attack. I'm telling you, every episode is you at Walmart, and something bad happens and you are the hero of the day.
I'm down with that. I can hang with that. I don't get I don't get to use none of my 4 superpowers though, right?
You do.
Oh, shit.
No one knows you have superpowers, but because, no one knows, you use them when you're invisible.
See, shit, that's how it all comes together, man. It's random.
Yeah. Okay, so the next step, and it's a small step. I'll come up with the idea. I'll write the script. The next step, I'll rely on you if this is okay.
Okay.
I'll have you raise the financing, get distribution, find the post-production team that will do everything, and get the publicity team on it as well. So I'll take care of the first thing.
Okay.
If you can do the small everything else after.
Okay, well, I know a production company here in Houston is 360 Visuals, so I got the camera equipment and the know-how for the post-production, so I got that down.
Beautiful. Now, it's a small budget show, so it's probably going to be no more than $2.5 million per episode. And we'll have to do at least 10 episodes. So if you can raise that $25 million, right, perfect. I'll take care of writing up the script and, making the characters and all that kind of good stuff. I feel like it's an even split.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Shit, I wish I had those superpowers now because it would make it a lot easier to get that money.
But you wouldn't steal it though, right? No, how would you make that 25 million?
I would coerce them. I would, all my powers interchangeable because you brought up that fifth power of the intimidation. I can kind of just like swap one of them out real quick and put that one in, and then I can intimidate some people to charitably give to this project,
That's how it's done in LA. So yeah, sure.
Yeah, see? I mean, don't have to break no kneecaps or thumbs or nothing.
And I'm there if you do.
Just see? It works. We'll make this happen.
You know what? I would be your sidekick.
Oh shit. Well, what
do you think about that? I would be your sidekick. I don't know what my powers would be, but I would be your sidekick in this show. You know what? I mean, I believe if you were the sidekick, you would be like, how they have those sidekicks throughout some of these movies to where they really do all the work, but the hero gets all the credit. Yeah, that'd be you. I would do it all. Yeah. I'd get messed up by the evil villains, but barely prevail. And I'd be like lying in the corner, putting on Band-Aids or something. And then you'd be talking to the mayor of the city. Yeah. Getting like getting all the rewards and having a parade for you. We'd like to thank Rob for defeating the alien zombie horde. Yeah. And I'm in the corner like all messed up. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, okay. I'll write the script.
You would be the cat from Hong Kong Phooey. You would be the dog from Inspector Gadget. You would be Muttley with Snidely Whiplash.
I appreciate the animal references. That's nice. I like that. That reveals a a lot about how you see me. I understand.
Oh no, man! It's just,
I'm kidding.
You're a companion.
Can I be my companion? I'd be on a leash. You'd feed me treats.
Yeah, I mean,
that's good. You're describing my marriage. This is good.
Oh man, mine too.
That's horrible.
Twins.
Hey. We're twins, yes. Hey, man, thank you so much for having me on the show. We're going to do some live shows, and I know we're going to do our best to get to Houston. And when we do, we need you involved. This can't happen without, Rob and his influence and his blessing, if you will.
I'm down. I mean, you got all the blessings. If I had the keys, I'd give them to you. Maybe I can just invisibly intimidate somebody to give them to me. I don't know.
I think your name should be the Invisible Intimidator. No?
I'm working on it. I can work with it. I can make it work.
Double I.
Shit. There it is. I'm down. That's it. That's the branding.
Awesome, man.
All right. Before you go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you and Jay on social media.
Well, you can find me at James Gavsie on Twitter, at James Gavsie. You can also find our website, whowouldwinshow.com. You can find our podcast by typing in hashtag whowouldwin on iTunes. And now we're even on Facebook. Just type in Who Would Win on Facebook. And oddly enough, we're also on Patreon, where you can type in www.patreon.com/Who Would Win. There's a lot of Who Would Win there. And that's it. And we've got 2 live shows coming up, one in Nashville and one in Huntsville in early November. Just go to whowouldwinshow.com to see our dates, get your tickets. And we're going to announce our battles for those live shows shortly as well.
Man, and I feel kind of bad, too, because we didn't really talk about the show too much. But I enjoyed what we had here in this hour and 20-some odd minutes that we've been together.
I loved it. Thanks for having me on your show, sir.
All right, man. Thank you for your time. It took you long enough to get here, motherfucker.
You're intimidating. Anyone who listens to this episode will understand how, it's hard to measure up to you and your show.
Okay. I mean,
I had to prepare. I had to, go see a psychologist. I had to, shoot up steroids and all this other stuff before I came on the show. And I had to, it's just crazy what I had prepped for the show to just stay relaxed and calm for it.
You're too kind.
And that's what everyone does on your show, right?
You're too kind. You're too kind. Probably not, but okay.
Oh, okay, fair enough. All right. Thank you, sir. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you, man. And that was my wonderful, amazingly awesome, manly man guest, James Gavsie. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. As I discussed at the beginning of the episode, I hate talking about, putting time within the episode or whatever, but I feel at some points these things are important. I do apologize for this particular episode coming out later in the Sunday evening, which I am recording right now, but it was for a good cause. I was recording some shows and everything with some local Houston podcasters that you'll hear in the up and coming weeks. And I had just recorded with a former rugby player, Keith Mason. And he's a wonderful gentleman. And he has not only is his story interesting, which you'll hear in the up and coming weeks, but the story of his wife, how he met his wife and the circumstances, surrounding her is an amazing story in itself. So, man, just today, hearing his story and hearing her story it was just an amazing thing. And I'm glad that my schedule got shifted around and whatnot so I could partake and share the same time and space with that gentleman to hear his conversation. And, with the girls over there at the Houston-ish podcast, I hipped them to the game of Twitter. Hopefully they'll be joining Twitter soon so they can get they shit together and be on the level with the rest of us. And, I don't know why I felt compelled to say that, but it was just a lot of inspiration, a lot of motivation floating around here today. And, I just finished watching Men in Black 3, which now going back and looking at, the cast of characters that was in that movie. I mean, the Men in Black 3 came out in 2012. And, I'm pinging around a little bit at the end of that movie when, spoilers, Will Smith comes back from his time traveling excursion. The song that plays is, New York by Jay-Z and, Alicia Keys. And I was like, man, even currently I haven't heard that song in a while. And just to think that song was out around the time that movie was released and everything. So, I mean, wow, time, in relation to the movie as well, it's really flying. That was 2012. It's 2018 now. And also, spoilers, the guy at the end of the movie, when they had the Cape Canaveral launch, when Neil Armstrong and then went to the moon and all that other bullshit, the colonel in that scene was, the dude that plays Luke Cage in, the Netflix series. So it was weird to see him younger with hair. And then, also one of the characters in that, the younger version of herself was, the assassin on the new, season of freaking Iron Fist, the one with the split personalities and everything. Spoilers if you haven't watched the new season of Iron Fist. So it's crazy to see, how all things are linked and intertwined because, Luke Cage is a Marvel thing and that guy plays Luke Cage and she's in the other girls in the Marvel universe. She's in Iron Fist. That's a Marvel property. Netflix, hula loop, a circle of things. It's just weird. Anyway, James Gavsie is awesome. You spent the last hour and some odd minutes with me and him chilling and everything. He is one half of the Who Would Win podcast and him and Jay Sandlin form a great dynamic duo. I really enjoy their show. I recommend that if you haven't heard it, just sort it out and seek it out and listen to it and jam your ear holes with pure nerdism. When the show originally started, they had a constant moderator. I know they flipped around from time to time when Ray couldn't make it. But since then they had rotating moderators. I did I think 2 episodes with them. And they had the black guy, from, Mad TV, the one that plays the hyperactive, UPS guy. He also does the voice for Samurai Jack. I don't know his name. It's 7:00 at night, almost 8:00. And I've been thinking about this all day and I could have took time to, do the man a kindness and look up his name so people can, hear it and be like, oh, that's that guy, and look at his face. And you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm pulling up IMDb right now. I'm typing in Samurai Jack. How do I spell this? All right. He was also in Pulp Fiction. He was the black guy, not Samuel Jackson. In the apartment scene, that is a tasty burger. Yeah. Where is he? Scrolling. There he is. Phil Lamar. That's him. That's his name. There you go. I didn't want to disrespect him and his acting prowess, however you use that word or say that word. I probably did it incorrectly, but there you go. So he was a moderator once. And now the current moderator is Crystal Storm. And I think the three of them together is a good fit. She has a vast knowledge in the nerd culture as far as comic books and, those sci-fi movies go. And Jay and James, as a team, just they mesh real well. And if you haven't heard this podcast, once again, go sort it out, go look for it, find it on everywhere you listen to podcasts. Who would win? And when you listen to it, tell me after listening to it that show isn't worthy enough. If it isn't worthy enough to be on the road, touring and doing that format in front of a live studio audience or crowd or whatever the case may be, I think it's good enough to do so. So, the best of luck to James and Jay, and hopefully I'll be seeing you when you roll into H-Town and do your tour and whatnot. So, big props to them. Well, I wasted I wouldn't say it's a wasted day. It was an enlightening and inspiring and motivating day and everything. So, I'm not going to say it was a wasted day, but the episode did come out a lot later than I wanted it to, but what happens. The family wanted to watch movies. I had to cook somewhat because my wife started it. I finished it. And, yeah, that's just what it was, man. Family is important. I love doing this podcast. I love just meeting these new and interesting people and just revisiting some of the old ones that I know from the past. But, when it's time to get down with the family, all this shit got to get kind of pushed to the side. And what I feel is awesome. I wrote a blog. I hate writing, but I did. The website randomrobcast.com has been has been reformatted, has been redesigned, and the blog space is blank. So I felt obligated to write a blog. I did. And in that blog, I talk about how I feel about podcasting so far. I've been doing it for almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years in January that I've been doing this show consecutively, week to week. And what I note in the blog is how my wife is starting to turn around on it, and I speak to why, how that's, kind of important to me, because I'm a man of many interests. I pick up a lot of things and I wind up putting it down, no follow through on the things and whatnot. But this podcast has been a constant for almost 3 years now. And, she's starting to see that, it's something that I'm into, something that I like doing, and, some of the good things that have come from it. So like, even right now, as I sit here and I record this, we were supposed to be watching Ocean's 8 right now, but she knew I had to finish trying to put this episode together and get it out. So she, she went downstairs and got a little glass of wine, and she's patiently waiting for me to quit running my goddamn mouth so we can watch Ocean's 8. So, on that note, read the blog, go to randomrobcast.com in the blog section, check it out. You can get some of my thoughts and feelings about podcasting so far. Stay tuned for the up and coming episodes with the Houston-ish podcast and the interview I did with Keith Mason. So, yeah, you can find me on Twitter at itsbrob. That's ITSBROB. If you want to talk professional wrestling and any other general shenanigans, that's the place you do it. The show also has its own Twitter at 3R Show is the account for that. And if you're hip and trendy, you should be following at 3R Show 2. That's TOO. And follow me on Instagram. And I'm talking about Keith Mason. Look him up on Instagram. That is a manly man, and he kind of looked like Daniel Craig in his pictures. I had to, I don't know if it was unfortunate or whatever, because he was talking about a documentary on his wife and her journey and them two together and whatnot. That's on YouTube that got millions and millions of hits and clicks. So during the interview, he brought it up. So I went to YouTube and I seen him and his wife, and he was jump roping in a Speedo. So anyway, you can follow me on Instagram. You can follow him too if you want to see him in a Speedo. And you watch me walk the hollowed halls of Walmart. You can go, as I said, to randomrobcast.com and find many different ways that you can help support the show and help it grow. I got merchandise through wehavemerch.com. That's wehavemerch.com. I got t-shirts, hats, and stuff of that nature. You can use my Amazon links. I get a little kickback for every time you shop on Amazon. You don't pay nothing extra. You could be a patron to the show, just like Glenn Abbott, Brandon McIntyre, King Ajar, whose birthday was September 19th and the same day as my 10th anniversary that we just celebrated. So happy birthday to King Ajar. I have some swag for you coming in the mail for your birthday. So look forward to that. And also, just like, damn, threw me off. Happy birthday, King Ajar. Bob Hines and Robert Cook. Thank you to all those gentlemen for supporting the show via my Patreon links that you can find on randomrobcast.com. Also, you can find exclusive content, some of like the behind the scenes stuff for the Random Rounds with Rob on the Lemur app. Download the Lemur app on your inferior device, Android, and the awesome device, iPhone. Just go to your app store of choice and search for the Lemur app. Exclusive content. It's a cool app. It's a cool community and everything. You can answer. You can send messages as you listen to the pod. Well, not as you listen, but when you listen to the podcast, you can respond to it with your voice and text and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. Also, I'm stuck at 57 followers on the Lemur app. And if you can help me get to 60, I'll do a drawing for a free digital download. And once we get to 70, I'll do another drawing for a free digital download. And once we get to 80, I'll do another drawing for a digital download. And 90, I'll do another drawing for a digital download. And 100, I will give away a pair of Regent Studio headphones from my sponsor, Studio.com. And speaking of Studio.com, you can save 15% off your order if you use promo code 3RShow15. And speaking of sponsors, this show is also sponsored by Hooks, Rubs, and Spices. You can go to hooksrubsandspices.etsy.com and you get 10% off your order, $6 or more, if you use promo code 3RShow. Yeah, hook up the sponsors. But besides that, I was talking about the Patreon account, the t-shirts, all those different ways that you can help support the show monetarily. You don't have to spend a dime of your money. The most important way that you can help support this show and any other podcast that you listen to is by liking, subscribing, retweeting, listening to the show, writing reviews on your platform of choice, 5 stars preferably, or if it's 4 stars and below, leave some constructive criticism. Help me help you. Help me make the show better for you. So, yeah, I think I got everything out there. Visit randomrobcast.com. Newly designed. Got the guest list on there. Look at all the cool guests. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you next time.